Previously, we saw villagers can have different skins depending on their profession. And as you can see, they have certain variety. Welcome to a new video of Big Brother 161, and on this occasion we find ourselves on the third episode of this series on villagers and villages. And today we will see professions and trading. Let's begin. On a previous episode we talked about villager skins, and they could take many of them. It is depending on the biome they belong to and the workstation they claim, of which we have 13. When they claim a workstation and we right click on it, we will see that the profession has a name. For example, here we have the blast furnace. It has been claimed by this villager and it becomes an armorer. And in a similar way, it's going to happen with all these workstations. For the smoker, we obtain the butcher. For the cartography table, we obtain the cartographer. With the brewing stand, the cleric. With the composter, the farmer. With the barrow, the fisherman. The fletching table gives us the fletcher. The cauldron, the leather worker. The lectern, the librarian. With the stonecutter, the mason. With the loom, the shepherd. With the smithing table, the toolsmith. With the grindstone, the weaponsmith. And finally we have the nitwit, who cannot claim a profession, because he cannot claim a workstation. Of course we also have the wandering trader, who behaves quite differently from the other villagers, but we will see this later. By the way, there is a theory that this guy is turned into the wandering trader. Do you see this green shirt? Well, the wandering trader has his beneath its blue cloak. So, as you can see, each villager that claims a workstation obtains a profession. And which one corresponds to each profession you will see on this table, as previously I explained. So, now what is a profession? Well, a profession is a title given to a villager who claims a working station. And it is depending on which working station it claims. And the profession is going to determine from which set of trades the traits of the villager are going to be chosen. And therefore have its own subset of traits. So, the working station can only be claimed if it is located within the limits of the village. You will see that the center of the village or the bill is not far away, but even in this wall we have constructed, they can obtain their profession. For example, here you will see some unemployed villagers who have not attained a profession, but for this we only have to place a workstation. For example, let's place a cauldron here. This one will turn into a leather worker. There are some prerequisites beneath which a villager can claim a workstation. Number 1. The workstation cannot be previously claimed by another villager. It has to be free. The claiming villager must currently not have a claimed workstation. And 3. The villager must not have traded before. We will see this further on, but the way we can identify this, that in the title we will see the level novice, and the experience bar must be empty, like this. So now let's see here. We can break the cauldron and the villager will lose his profession. Now let's place a smithing table and you will see it acquires a new profession. And now we have the toolsmith. Now we break this one and place the fletching table. Maybe it can take a while, but eventually it recognizes it. So now let's right click on the villager, and you can see we can trade with it now. Here we select the first trade and we buy some arrows. Now the villager has acquired some experience. Now we proceed to break the workstation. You can see the villager does not lose his profession because he has traded before. Now we can place a cauldron or any other workstation. And since this villager keeps its previous profession, he does not claim a new workstation. This one was previously unemployed, so he claimed the cauldron. And the only workstation this old villager can claim is a fletching table, because he is already a fletcher, as you see there. And now let's talk about trading with villagers. For starters, let's try to classify the villagers on different categories. The first one are employed villagers. We right click and we can see their offer of trades. We can have the wandering trader, right click, and we can see the selection of trades. If we right click the nitwit, he does this. The same thing happens with unemployed villagers. and also be villagers. Some of the villagers' activities are interrupted by trading. For example, if they are wandering around, we right click and they stop. And also trading can be interrupted by other activities. For example, if the villager receives damage. You will see that every single trade the villagers have involves emeralds. Whether it is a sell, where we obtain emeralds, or it is a purchase, where we give away emeralds. Another kind of trade is, for example, this one, where we give an emerald, an item, and we obtain a second item. And now let's talk about the levels of experience the villagers obtain, or the titles they obtain, the further they advance in experience. So if we go to the Minecraft wiki, where we can search trading, link in the description, we will find this table that describes the levels the villagers obtain. You will see that the levels go from 1, 2, 3, 4 till 5. And in the skin of the villagers, you will see these badges. If you see a stone badge, that will indicate that the villager is a novice. The leather badge indicates an apprentice, the golden badge a journeyman, the emerald badge an expert, and the diamond one a master. The more we trade with the villagers, and it is depending on the specific trade, they will be obtaining more and more experience. And when the experience reaches a threshold, depending on each level, the village will obtain the title for that specific level of experience. So let's see this in practice. So let's start with this villager. One thing you will see is that if we hold an item in our hand, that particular villager is going to show us another item that he is willing to trade for that item. For example, these emeralds. I show the villager gravel, the villager will show me the flint, which is this trade over here. You will see that the more I buy, the experience will be advancing. And even the player will get some experience the more he trades. So I continue buying until the experience bar fills up. Here you are seeing the stone badge. We see some particle effects, and now the badge is leather. This is indicating the villagers and apprentice. We continue trading, and eventually you will see that a particular trade is blocked, marked by this X. This is done when certain number of trades are done. Now let's select the net trade. Each of those slots are filled with the correct item. This is done by pressing Shift and click. And all the possible trades are done until the items are finished. Now let's get to a third trade where we just sell the flints. And the tendency is that each consecutive trade is going to give more and more experience. Now let's press Shift and click. Now I just press space, and the previous trade we have performed is going to fill up again. So I just have to repeat this process. Shift and click, space, Shift and click, space, Shift and click, space. Now the experience bar has filled up again. So let's do one more. And now after some particle effects, we will see that the badge has changed again to a golden color. This means the villager is now a journeyman. Now we just continue trading until we fill up the experience bar again. When it passes the threshold, particle effects, and again the badge has changed color, now to an emerald one. Now this villager is an expert level. And we continue on and on. Again we fill up the experience bar, particle effects, and there, the badge changed again, now to a diamond one, and this indicates the villager is a master. And this happens the same way with every villager independently of its profession. And again, the profession is going to determine which set of traits the villager is capable to choose from. The subset of traits of each villager is different from each other. Now this villager, for example, is a master, and some of the traits are already blocked. We continue to buy or do other trades from the ones who are not blocked yet. And as you can see, as the villager continues to gain experience and continues to gain titles, a lot of the traits continue to unblock and we have them available. Each villager can have a maximum of 10 traits, and in theory, each of these traits is better than the previous one. You can see we have different types of traits. One, we can give away emeralds to buy some items. Another way is what we can give away items to obtain emeralds. The third type is where we have transformations. For example, we gave an emerald, an item, and we obtain a second item. As we saw in the previous video, there is a period of the day where the villagers are working or interacting with the workstations. What happens is that twice a day the villagers can interact with their workstations and resupply their trades. So let's try with this villager, and we deplete the first trade. And we can do this with various trades. This time of the day the villager is within this working schedule, and he has already interacted with the workstation and resupplied the first trade. Here you can see the first trade is reset, the trade is available, and we can do the same thing again. This resupply, the villager is able to do 2 times a day for any of the trades. So the first recommendation is to grab a particular villager and not do only one trade. We have to do it at least with 2 of them. And the number of villagers you will require to do all your trades is depending on what is the quantity of items you are willing to sell or buy or transform. Because each villager has a limit on how many times he is able to do it on each particular day. So the first solution is to have a large number of villagers or to come many times throughout many days in Minecraft. So there are many events that are going to modify the price with which the villager is willing to trade with us. At the beginning we have some prices by default. At the beginning the price of the flints was different. For 26 we obtained an emerald, but now that number changed to 25. Why did that price change? Well, here we're going to see one of the factors. Since we previously did some trades, the next trades we have then done, at least for a limited amount of time, trading with the villagers is going to improve our reputation within them. The more we trade with villagers, the better our reputation is going to be, and it's going to have a direct effect on the prices. We can sell our products at a better price and even buy other products at cheaper prices. And these prices are going to keep around for some time. The only number that is going to suffer a modification is from the item that is located at the left of this arrow. For example, in this case, we only have 1 emerald. In this case, the price cannot get any better because the minimum is 1. And the modification on the price cannot be done by the item that is located on the right side of the arrow. So these trades are not going to change. So 1 is the bare minimum, that is the limit beneath which a price cannot be reached. But there also is an upper limit. The limit to which the price can go up is 64, or 1 stack. So the factors that affect the prices are 3, and they are the following. The first one is the demand. Let's say I am trading right now, and the only thing I am trading is with flint. You will see that the price continues to go down, independently if the Fletcher or any other villager continues to resupply at his workstation. But yeah, each time he resupplies, the price is going to continue to get worse and worse. But another thing we can do, besides selling flint, is for example selling string or feathers. The important thing is to continue to trade with 2 or more items at the same time. Just choose 2 of them you can produce in large quantity, and that way we contain a large amount of emeralds. The same thing happens is, for example in this case, if we want to buy weapons, we always have to come with a second item at least, whether it is buying or selling, and trade with it. For example, here we can buy 2 kinds of bow or crossbows, and that way the prices remain balanced. Because if we continue to trade with only 1 item, the price is going to start to affect us. The second factor is if we have the effect of Hero of the Village. Remember that if we help to defeat a raid, which we will see in a further video, we are going to obtain the effect of Hero of the Village. The benefit we will receive with Hero of the Village is that prices are going to start to get better. Here we have the effect of Hero of the Village. In right click we can check all the prices, and they are even better than before. Let's go with a leather worker, with whom we have not traded before, and here we can see that even the leather worker gives us better prices. And the third factor is reputation. On how to improve our reputation we already talked on the previous video, but the basic idea is that the better our reputation, we're going to receive better prices, and the worse our reputation is, we're going to receive penalizations. Now we're going to return to the Minecraft wiki and see this in further detail, and here we can read on every mechanic regarding economics and trading. Now what I want to talk about is the different professions of villagers displayed over here. For example, here we can see the armorer, which is obtained when a villager claims as his workstation the blast furnace. So here the following, we're going to see tables which display the different traits the villager can obtain depending on the level and his profession. So here in the table, in the first column, we're going to see the level, which indicates the experience level of the villager, novice, apprentice, etc. But on the first part, we're going to see all the possible traits that are related to a novice level. The first one is call, where we see the price, which is 15, from which we obtain only 1 emerald for each 15 call. In this column, we're going to see the price multiplier, which is depending on the other factors that help us modify the price. You're going to see that the price multiplier is different for each trait, and depending on the quantity, the price is more or less willing to change depending on the 3 previous factors I already explained. For example, previously trading with a villager. So depending on the trade, there are certain number of trades we can do before the trade is disabled. As we previously saw with the X mark on the disabled trade. Here, for example with the call, we can only do this 16 times. This means that we can only obtain 16 emeralds, and this trade is going to be temporarily disabled, but this is only going to happen until the next time the villager resupplies in his workstation. And each time we do this trade with a villager, the villager is going to obtain 2 XP. In this example, selling iron is going to give way more experience to the villager than selling coal. We're going to see that the next level is apprentice, and once reaching this level, it is going to unblock other trades, which are all going to work exactly the same way I explained previously. For example, here, selling iron, we sell 4 ingots to obtain 1 emerald. We can do this 12 times before being disabled, and for each of these trades, the villager is going to obtain 10 XP. And so and so. We see that the journeyman level is going to work the same way. We have traits for the expert level, and finally here we see the final 2 traits for the master level. Now in this table, why do we see so many traits? But at the moment to trade with a villager we only see 10. But it's happening that upon reaching each of the level, the new traits the villager will obtain are only 2. So for the novice level, we obtain only 2 traits, for apprentice another 2 traits, and so for expert and master levels. Let's go to our next villager. From these 4 traits, 2 of them are going to be selected for the novice level. When this villager gets to apprentice level, he's going to select 2 from this tree. When he gets to journeyman, he's going to obtain these 2 traits. When he gets to expert, he's going to unblock this one. And when he gets to a master, he's going to be able to buy sweet berries. And so, a maximum of 2 traits for each level. So that's enough text and tables. Let's see this on the field. What I have done on each of these blocks is that I've placed 20 beds, 20 workstations, and 20 villagers in order to force them to acquire this particular profession. So what I wanted to show you is how a selection of traits looks on these villagers. And that way we can see the way the traits are selected for each profession. For example, for the blast furnace, we can see the armorers. Here you will see all 20 of them are at master level. So we can deduce that this villager, when he was a novice level, he had these 2 traits. On the next level, we unblock buying a bell and buying these chainmail boots. And so, on master level, we unblock these final 2 traits. So you could see that this armor was a way to obtain this diamond gear. And if we go individually to more of them, we can see that more or less they sell and buy the same things. At the basic levels, he trades with iron gear, and so they advance, and finally selling diamond gear. Something that happens is that each piece of diamond gear has its own enchantments. Of course, in the last version, 1.20.2, this changed, but we're going to explain this on a further video. But surely the suggestion keeps that if you want to buy armor gear, we will surely need various of these armorers. So at the beginning you just have to invest, for example buying some armor gear or selling iron. But finally you will unblock it to master level and be able to buy diamond gear. So the next profession is the butcher. This one is obtained by the smoker. Differently from the armorer, the butcher has another objective. Of course we can obtain food, but something a butcher can do is give us a lot of emeralds in exchange for meat. And within all these trades, you can choose which one of them is more convenient for you, and which of them you can produce en masse. So in general, the butcher deals with a lot of food, especially meat. But besides meat, we can deal with dry kelp, sweet berries, and a bit of coal. In this case I placed some of the trades, and I placed the quantities we are able to trade with the villager before the trade is blocked. For example, with 3.5 stacks of chicken, we can obtain 16 emeralds. All these quantities are set with the price by default. Just remember that this price can be better, and it can be modified to make it better. This will be explained on a further video. This is with the pork chops. Here is raw rabbit, coal. We can also obtain 16 emeralds, mutton, raw beef. So you can choose to trade and see which one of these is more convenient for you to obtain massive amounts of emeralds. In this chest I placed all the quantities I was able to sell before all the trades of the 20 villagers were blocked. So here you can see the quantities they are able to buy in one day, and you can see here the quantity of emeralds I obtained from each of the trades, and these are the quantities of trades we can do in order to block all the trades from the 20 villagers. For example, here we have almost a double chest full of meat. Or for example, you can counteract that quantity of meat with this quantity of pork chops. Now let's get to the cartographer. We can also use this one to obtain emeralds. You'll note this one always buys paper. With an emerald you can buy empty maps. And also sell some banners of different colors. And finally they sell a banner pattern. The colors of the banners they sell is going to vary from villager to villager. You should probably craft these, but they also sell them. If you want to make off money from these villagers, there are some items they buy. These are paper, glass panes, and compasses. Remember, you can sell them a lot of paper, so if you can produce this en masse, they are willing to buy it. To accompany these quantities of paper, you can also sell glass panes, about a double chest, or you can also sell some compasses, which you only need a few. All of this is only for 20 villagers. Here you can see a summary only for one villager. Next we have the cleric. Its workstation is the brewing stand, and these are some of their traits. They buy some stuff related to magic. One thing I like to do is to sell rotten flesh with gold, since if we have a gold farm we are able to produce these in large quantities, which are pretty useless items unless you sell them. You can also sell rabbit foot, scutes, and another wart. The proportions are pretty much the next. Rotten flesh is pretty much the bulk of you're going to sell. For this you just need a few gold ingots, a few empty bottles, and you can also sell a few nether wart. One of the best ways to obtain emeralds are through farmers. We obtain a farmer when a villager claims a composter, and in this case you can basically sell 6 products. The first one is beetroot. I do not recommend this particular one since you cannot produce this in mass, such as with potato or carrot, where these two represent a great production. You can sell wheat at a reasonable quantity. The price is about 20 wheat per emerald. In this case you will see potatoes are a bit cheaper. The big advantage on these ones, including the carrots, is that they are easy to produce in large quantities. But something they buy at a pretty good price, and which can be produced automatically on a farm, are pumpkins and melons. These are the quantities you need to obtain 12 or 16 emeralds, depending on the product. Next are the fishermen, which are obtained by barrels. They deal with trades having to do with fishing. An easy way to obtain emeralds is selling them raw fish, where you can produce cod in quantities with a garden farm. And something else I like to sell them are boats, because they only cost wood. This is not the best way to make emeralds, but it is an option. And any fish you can produce in quantities, they are willing to buy them. Also buy coal, string, and finally what I like to sell is fish. Now we go to a Fletcher, as we already saw. They mostly buy sticks, flint, string, feathers. With all of these you can obtain emeralds, like this, approximately these quantities. Maybe I don't recommend this a lot, but probably something we can produce in large quantities is flint, and with flint sell it with sticks, which only cost wood, about this quantity, or if you have any source of exceeding sticks, you can also sell them. But probably my favorite trade with these Fletchers are this. You can use emeralds, normal arrows, and that way you obtain tip arrows. So if you don't like to go to the end to obtain Dragon Breath, this is another way you can obtain these arrows. The particular effect on these arrows is pretty much random on each Fletcher. They also sell bows and crossbows with different effects. Now let's go to a leather worker, which is a villager that buys leather, flint, rabbit hide, scutes. For some strange reason this has something to do with animal leather. They also sell leather pieces with some color. And maybe the trades that are more or less useful is the leather horse armor and the saddles, which is a renewable way to obtain saddles. But other than this is not a particularly useful villager. Next up we have the librarian. You can make some emeralds with this one, but it's not of my particular interest. You can sell paper, books, ink sacs. But most importantly with these villagers you can obtain enchantments. Each villager is going to sell you different enchantments, which are only going to cost an emerald and an empty book. Here we have Fortune, Quick Charge, this one we have Feather Falling, and like that each villager is going to be different. And most importantly, this is the easiest way to obtain Mending. Of course we obtained some changes on version 1.20.2 and we will explain these mechanics in another video. This is also a great way to obtain name tags. Now, one of my favorite villagers actually is the Mason. Of course these ones buy some stuff, and what I like about the things they buy is that they are pretty easy to produce in large quantities. Most of them start off buying clay bells. Clay is pretty easy to produce, since on recent versions clay became renewable resource. And of course all masons buy stone. And stone you can pretty much accompany it with one of these three: andesite, granite or diorite. So you can sell either of these three alongside with stone. The items they buy are the following. This includes some quartz, which I do not recommend to sell, but you can accompany stone with one of these three, or in most cases, stone alongside with clay. Now, they also sell some building materials, for example this terracotta or glazed terracotta. To craft them you have to get clay and dice, but in this case you can also buy them. And they can also sell these quartz block variants. Now let's go to the shepherds, which we can get with looms. Usually they're going to buy some wool, and they're going to sell some products based on wool, of various colors. For example beds, banners, other dyed wool. But basically they're going to buy 4 types of wool: white wool, black, brown and grey. And if you right click on these villagers, you're going to see they buy 2 out of these 4 colors. I really recommend not to buy anything, since you can craft all of this stuff, but in case you want to make a few extra emeralds, you can sell wool. And quite randomly, they will be able to buy dice of various colors. So in case if you produce a lot of these, you can make some extra emeralds selling here. Mostly the colors I found are these 12. Magenta, brown, lime, yellow, blue, pink, green, purple, cyan, orange, white and black. Now let's talk about the toolsmiths, which are obtained using the smithing table. At the beginning they're going to sell stone tools, and later we'll be able to buy iron ingots, gradually getting better. For example here you can obtain iron tools, and finally they will be able to sell diamond tools. Of course this is a very easy way to obtain diamond tools, quite cheap, and you don't have to waste diamonds crafting them. So in this case the objective is not to make extra money selling stuff, but rather obtaining good quality tools. Within the diamond tools they're going to be able to sell are the hoes, axe, pickaxe and shovel. Unlike the other 2 smiths, we can obtain bells. Within the stuff we can sell them are flint, carbon, iron ingots, and of course one of the trades is selling 1 diamond to 1 emerald. Of course I do not recommend this one. And finally we're going to see the weaponsmiths. These are obtained using the grindstones, and as you can see by their name, they deal with weapons. Like other smiths, we can sell coal, flint, iron, diamonds. They also sell bells. These guys are going to be the source of our diamond weapons, which are basically the axe and the sword. Maybe you don't care which enchantments are equipped on these weapons, because you can just grind them off and add the new enchantments. So basically here you have the information. Then you're going to decide which of these villagers you're going to use to gain emeralds, and which of them you're going to spend your emeralds to obtain items. So now let's make a summary. So on the list of the villagers you're going to use to obtain emeralds, maybe we can place the butcher, the cartographer, the cleric, the farmer, fisherman, the fletcher, the leather worker, the mason, and the shepherd. And on the other team, basically the villagers we utilize to spend emeralds and obtain items at a cheap price. Basically we can place the armorer, the librarian, toolsmith, and the weaponsmith. But also there's probably some villagers we can place on both teams, like the fletcher, or the cleric, who sells some of the stuff we can find on mines, but they also sell them and now they are renewable. So basically we can place them on categories and give them different uses. So these are the professions on Minecraft. This is pretty much the basic mechanics, but later on we can go more in depth and explain how we can trade with them, including the mechanics of 1.20.2. But before that, the next episode is going to be on hostile events, where we're going to see some of the threats villagers face, like raids or zombie sieges, and we'll also see some of the mechanics on how they interact with hostile mobs, which are kind of dangerous to them. This has been BigBrother161, and see you on the next episode.